Hello everybody, nice to meet you. Let me check just if the audio works. Looks like that. Okay. So, how Simracing is evolving, which kind of challenges our studios and other studios like Kunos face every day, and our vision of the future of automotive and motorsport in digital games. Well, we are very pleased to join the Gamescom again, even if in a virtual way, because we joined our first Gamescom in 2012 to show for the first time our popular video game Assetto Corsa as guest of the Acer booth, performing the game of just a couple of simulators. And even if for days we had this huge queue of people waiting hours just to play the game for less than 10 minutes, at the time, honestly, we had no idea that eventually it would become one of the most successful racing simulations with more than 3.5 million users worldwide. So even today, Assetto Corsa is very popular and continues to collect many users as well as the spin-off Competizione. And our studio grown through the 10 years from 10 people to the 30 members we have today. We're not mentioning all the people and the team who supports us in 505 Games and Digital Bros, that is our publisher. The point is that the understanding of why a game like this can go beyond any expectations in terms of success is very important to enforce the brand and the vision behind the franchise. But it's not easy. It's not easy at all. Sometimes it depends by when you publish a game. Sometimes it depends by how you publish it. About Assetto Corsa, I can say that we came out for the right product in the right time. At the time, in fact, on PC, the community was missing a proper racing simulation like, let me say, Gran Turismo. And for many years, PC gamers missed the chance to drive road cars in a game performing a realistic handling and behavior. That's what we did, just to discover that this was exactly what people was looking for. Eventually, we ported Assetto also on console, and we found that also the console community was very keen to play a game with a hardcore driving simulation. So Assetto Corsa has been very welcomed also on console. Personally, I believe that one of the secrets behind the success is the transparency we had with the community, starting from the early access phase. At the time, in fact, on Steam, the early access program was relatively new, and we published our roadmap in advance, and we kept our word about what we were going to release and when. Also, we released a content and feature that, even if we're not representing the final level of quality we were aiming to achieve at the final, we were representing the best level of accuracy and quality we were achieving at that time. So the perception of quality behind the game from the community, even during the early access phase, has been always very well rated, and we worked hard to keep it at the very best. This does not mean at all that we can rest easy just because we had success in the past. It would be nice, but it's not going to happen. So the level of details and quality that the current hardware on PC and console can let developers to achieve is so high that keeping the pace for us is quite challenging. Also consider that at Kunos we are just 30 people also today. Also, things are quite changed in the last 10 years, not just in the video gaming industry, but also in the automotive industry. And more importantly, in the way how people in the younger generation look to the automotive today. Just to understand it, ask too many youngers today if they prefer to get for their 18th birthday the latest iPhone model or their first shitty fourth-hand used car. Take a seat, wait, and let's see what they ask. Taking in consideration how society is evolving, it's very important also for companies that produce video games like Kuno Simulazione. It's also for this reason that 505 Games and Kunos decided to bring this year the Assetto Corsa Vision also on mobile, in order to let the younger generation falling in love with car driving and track racing, and encouraging them to know more about this world, and eventually move to the simulation on PC or console, maybe using a steering wheel. Let's not forget that the youngers of today will be the professional drivers of tomorrow. So we need also to take a look to what is happening to the automotive industry. All the car manufacturers are actively working to abandon fossil fuel within the next 10 years, if not before. And if they are advertising on my generation, yeah, I'm a bit old, pushes so much about design and performance, today car advertising underlines features like infotainment, assisted driving, or parking, and so on. So developing a video game like Assetto Corsa can require 3 to 4 to 5 years. And we need to try to see in advance what will happen in 5 to 10 years and what people will look for in 4 to 5 years, not today or tomorrow. And this is not easy. It's not easy at all. But otherwise, the risk is to release a product, a game that's out to date at the day one. So it's a risk that is just around the corner. Just to give you a proper example, let's think about what Porsche is doing right now. While they are working on the electric technology for automotive, they are also building or purchasing race tracks all around the world, just in order to guarantee to their clients a place where they can drive a noisy petrol-head 911 and where this kind of things still can make sense. Ferrari, for example, will produce its first full electric GT car in 4 years, featuring an electric engine instead and an outstanding V12 internal combustion engine. Will still let people consider it a Ferrari. We don't know it today. We'll discover it tomorrow. We can expect that within 10 years, people might stop to purchase cars, and that car companies and car manufacturers will start not to sell cars anymore, but mobility services. So you don't know a car anymore, you just use it. This will change a lot the perception of what does mean owning a sport car. So we are moving from the pleasure of driving to the opportunity of driving. How a company like Unos can offer to its audience this thrilling of driving and how we can face this kind of changes? Well, we do have some answer. We started the company a lot of time ago, moved by the aim to reproduce the feeling of what it does mean driving a sport car on the track. That is a feeling that most of the people can't afford to buy. And this vision has not changed. So we believe that within 5 to 10 years, some people will use simulator to have fun driving those cars that doesn't make sense anymore to buy in the real world. In some way, the same principle can be applied to e-sport. If you think about it, you see that the pandemic brought so many people to the sim racing world and forced also the real motorsport to use racing video games and simulation for official championships and training. This allowed them to understand better the great potential of simulations like Assetto Corsa and others, and now they started to use it not only to improve their visibility, or because they are forced to do that, but also to find the best drivers that might compete in the real races of tomorrow. So we can expect that if 10 years ago, karting, for example, was the first gate to start a career in motorsport, let's think to people like Michael Schumacher or Ayrton Senna, tomorrow, esports and digital motorsport could represent a first step for the career of the future generation of drivers. So, about this, many people and journalists are asking us about the next Assetto Corsa game. That's not a secret that is under development. Well, what I can tell you today is that we are still in a design phase. But we are taking in high consideration how motorsport and automotive is evolving to understand better what people will ask us in the next years. On the other side, we'll continue to enforce our vision of what Assetto Corsa is and what Assetto Corsa wants to be in terms of realism, feeling, car handling, and that will continue to feed our petrol-head fans all over the world. You can understand also that bigger expectations, big numbers, great games require a huge investments that need to return with some profits. What we have seen so many times is that in order to embrace a brighter audience, some developers sometimes gave up to their original concept and vision of their games, making them potentially more interesting for more people. But this usually meant just sacrificing complexity and realism to make their products more accessible for more people. So I understand that our community could have some concerns about the future of the Assetto Corsa franchise. Anyway, We believe that the main reason we eventually went to success with Assetto Corsa is that we made a difference doing things in a different way, and we'll keep this approach. If we will give up in terms of realism, car handling, and all those features that made Assetto Corsa so famous, then we will move to a competition, to a field where other great franchise perform so great, and they would simply hit us. Also, through the years, we established very, very strong cooperations with the car manufacturers that today use Assetto Corsa technology as a showcase for their own technology and their latest products and cars. This is an additional value that we are not going to lose. So the way how we can face the challenges of tomorrow is not negotiation with our strength points, but evolving on those aspects where we have still a good margin of improvement. And the gameplay, for example, is definitely one of these aspects. And we have some good ideas about how to make our products even more nice to play and to drive for more people. Working on the gameplay, not changing the realism or the physics or the handling that made Assetto Corsa so famous. So we just ask you to patient a bit because the new Assetto Corsa will not come up just tomorrow. But we'll keep you busy with the news are coming in the next very few days with the current lineup of the Assetto Corsa franchise. So thank you very much, and if you have any questions, I'm at your disposal to answer.
Okay, thank you, Marco. Hi, first of all.
Hi.
You see, there's a question in the chat. It's from Lala Lalberg. I'm wondering, what are the challenges in developing sim racing, and of course, what do you love most about sim racing? Maybe we answer that question first.
Sure, sure. Well, there are several kind of challenges because, for example, Assetto Corsa means realism. So we are keen to improve every day the way how we can achieve more realism. We use the latest kind of technology for the tracks, for example, and we cooperate with the car manufacturers for the car handling. And I can say that the way how we cooperated also with the race engineers and drivers with Assetto Corsa Competizione, that is the official game of the GT World Challenge, helped us a lot to get an even better connection with the drivers and the engineers in order to make our cars, virtual cars, even more effective in terms of handling realism. But definitely is not a field where you can say, okay, we reached the top edge and we can't improve even more, because there is always a margin of improvement. So the challenge is find out the way how we can improve what we already improved. Because also our competitors, they did a great job. So in order to face the competition, we can't sleep.
Yeah. So Assetto Corsa has, of course, not only a large community, but also a large community of modders. So how closely do you work together with your modders that help you maybe also develop the game further?
Well, the first Assetto Corsa has been conceived to support the modding community at the best, and I think we can clearly say that possibly is the most modded racing product all over the world. What we have seen is that when we stopped to develop Assetto Corsa 1 at the end of 17, at the beginning we believed that maybe some people eventually started to abandon it because it was not going to get any other update. What we have seen instead is that a lot of people started to work even more because there was no chance that with a new update we can just mess with their modes. And what we have seen in the last, I would say, 3 years has been really impressive because the level of content in terms of shaders, graphics updates, and content scenarios and cars that the community did is just unbelievable. So we are taking this thing in a very high consideration also for the future of the Assetto Corsa franchise.
Have you ever hired someone who has been a modder before? And you thought, okay, he or she is so great, let's hire this guy. Yeah,
absolutely. Because sometimes when we saw that some car models and some few tracks were very well done, we decided to purchase their content, and in order to provide them as free update for the community. And eventually we hired these guys because they proved to be very, very good in the way how they were working. So I think that we have in total 4 to 5 people that started as modders and that today works on a regular basis with us.
Great. So I've seen in the chat there are several questions about several releases. So Scores874 says, "Hi Marco, can you tell us when Assetto Corsa Competizione will release on Xbox Series X and PS5?
I'm sorry, thank you for the question, but I can't reply you today. But I just ask you to have a bit of patience because we have some very good important announcement just coming up in a couple of days.
Okay, next question from Farah1. Hey at all, when will we see the Nordschleife?
Well, welcome to Germany, you know. The Nordschleife is just one of my favorite tracks ever in the world. So I will be very, very glad because I'm also in charge as a licensing manager to license the Nordschleife for Competizione. But this can't happen unless SRO, that is the organizer of the GT World Challenge, will include the Nordschleife in his calendar. Because Competizione is the official game of that series. So never say never. What I can tell you that if for any reason SRO will include the Nordschleife in the next few years in the competition, 5 minutes later we'll announce the Nordschleife also for Assetto Competizione.
Okay, you seem to have it ready.
I swear.
Okay, next question from Moslo. Do you plan to release new DLCs in the future?
Yeah, this is a part of the announcement that will come up tomorrow or Friday.
Okay.
But yes.
What? I don't really understand the next question. Pineapple on pizza? I think that's a little off topic, but as you are Italian, I think it's a proper question.
Yeah, the guy is a stalker. He's stalking me since weeks on this matter. But
Okay.
my reply is always the answer. Forget about it. It's not you can't simply call it pizza.
I'm totally with you. I don't like pineapple at all.
Thank you. Maybe... No, I like pineapple a lot, but not on pizza.
But not on pizza.
Yeah.
Maybe just another question that is a bit more serious again. I can imagine that the driving and car industry is a pretty like exclusive club, if you want to say so. So when you started with Assetto Corsa in the early days, was it hard to get a foot in the door and say, "Hi, we're game developers and we want all your licenses"? And how was that in the early days?
This is I love this question. The short answer is that it was a huge pain. The wider answer is that on 29 we established our studio inside the racing track of Vallelunga near Rome. So we had the chance to get in touch with a lot of car companies, truck manufacturers, and so on. So we had the chance to show them what we were trying to do. And this eventually worked a lot well with some of these car manufacturers. And once some of the car manufacturers and the licensors that were a bit more skeptical about us because we were a very little and unknown company, and they eventually see that we were collecting licenses like Ferrari, McLaren, BMW, and others. They have been encouraged or they wanted to be in the game. So my challenge today is that we have so many car manufacturers that knock our door because they would like to have and see their cars included in Assetto Corsa. But Assetto Corsa 1 has been completed 4 years ago, and we can't reopen it. And Competizione is a game that is dedicated to the GT World Challenge. So sometimes also the car manufacturers that they didn't reply to us 10 years ago, now they have to wait for the next Assetto Corsa.
Okay, great. Okay, Marco, we have to continue with the program, but thank you very much for this talk and for your presentation and all that answering of all these questions. I think there will be a lot more in the chat, but we have to continue. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you very much. Ciao.